The Galactic Council had not held an emergency session in over 1,000 years. Now representatives from 100 species packed the great chamber, their voices a chaos of fear and disbelief. At the center of it all, a hologram played on repeat. The destruction of half the hegemony fleet in less than 4 minutes. Order. The council chairman, a crystalline being that sang rather than spoke, tried to bring calm. We must approach this rationally. Rationally? The representative from the Saurian Empire stood, its scales flashing angry red. The primitives have moons that fight. They have weapons that delete matter from existence. How is any of this rational? General Song Min-woo watched the council session from Earth's command center. Spy drones invisible to the council's sensors transmitted everything. Around him, Earth's best strategic minds analyzed every word, every gesture. They're scared, Dr. Baek Ji-eun observed. The developer of the consciousness transfer technology studied the alien faces. Good. Fear will make them either stupid or careful. Which would you prefer? Min-woo asked. Stupid, Ji-eun replied without hesitation. Careful enemies learn. Stupid ones just react. On the council floor, the hegemony representative, what was left of their delegation after the fleet's defeat, stood to speak. We demand justice. The humans violated their protected status. They built weapons in secret. You invaded their system, the chairman interrupted. You threatened to harvest their population. They defended themselves, with planet-sized weapons. The hegemony delegates' 4 voices harmonized in outrage. This cannot be allowed. The representative from the ancient ethereal collective floated forward. These beings were energy given form, older than most stars. Show us the full recording again. The hologram played once more. Moonships moving like fighters. Beams that twisted reality. The helpless drift of crippled hegemony vessels. Fascinating, the ethereal murmured. They've discovered how to manipulate the quantum foam itself. To edit reality at the fundamental level. Such knowledge should have taken them another 10,000 years. Unless, another voice spoke up. The mechanical consensus, a hive mind of artificial intelligences. They were never truly primitive. What if they were hiding their advancement all along? The chamber erupted in arguments again. Min-woo smiled grimly. Let them wonder. Let them guess. The truth was simpler and more frightening. Humans had just been properly motivated. A new alert flashed on his screens. Probe networks across the galaxy reported massive fleet movements. The Saurian Empire was mobilizing. The Crystal Hierarchy was calling its ships home. Even the peaceful gardens of thought were arming their world trees. General, an aide reported, we're detecting multiple spy probes entering our system. They're using technology we've never seen before. Let them look, Min-woo decided. But show them only what we want them to see. Dr. Baek, are you ready for the next revelation? Ji-eun nodded, her fingers dancing over controls. The volunteer integration is complete. 12 million humans have merged with our moonship's AI networks. They're ready. In space, the spy probes watched as Earth's moonships began a synchronized dance. They moved in perfect harmony. No communication delays, no hesitation. To the watching galaxy, it looked like a single mind controlling 12 bodies. The truth was more unsettling. 12 million human minds linked through quantum entanglement, thinking as one while maintaining their individuality, the ultimate expression of human cooperation. Captain Ryu Sung-ho felt the network's pulse from his position, merged with humanity's dream. He was himself, but also part of something greater. He could feel Captain Taeyang's determination, Captain Dayun's caution, and millions of other human thoughts and emotions. This is what they never understood, he said to his bridge crew, his voice carrying harmonics from a million throats. Humans were never meant to be alone. We're pack hunters, social creatures, and now we hunt as a species. Back at the Galactic Council, panic was setting in. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human moonships had been spotted near Mars in the asteroid belt around Saturn. How many did they have? 12 confirmed, the Saurian intelligence reported. But there could be more. Their cloaking technology is beyond our understanding. We must unite, the hegemony representative demanded. Pool our fleets. Attack together before they spread beyond their system. Attack? The ethereal collective pulsed with disdain. Did you learn nothing from your defeat? They disabled 5,000 of your ships without killing a single crew member. They showed mercy when they could have shown destruction. Perhaps we should try something your empire never considered. Talking to them. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the chamber activated. Ambassador Shin Jae-sung appeared, transmitted from Earth. He had been waiting for this moment. "Members of the Galactic Council," he said calmly. "I am Ambassador Shin of Earth. We know you're discussing us. We know you're afraid, so let me ease your fears with truth." The chamber fell silent. How had the humans accessed their secure systems? 100 years ago, Jae-sung continued, you told us we were primitive. You caged us in our system and forgot about us. We used that time, not just to build weapons, but to unite as a species, to become something you've never seen before. The image changed. Now it showed Earth itself, blue and green and beautiful. You wonder how many moonships we have. The answer is 12. But that's not the question you should be asking. Engineer Kang Mi-young appeared on screen, standing before a massive holographic display. You should be asking why we stopped at 12. The answer is simple. We didn't want to be conquerors. We wanted to be ready. The display showed technical readouts that made several species gasp, power outputs that dwarfed stars, weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics, shields that could withstand supernovas. But here's our final truth. Jae-sung returned to the screen. We didn't build these to attack you. We built them to defend ourselves, to earn the respect you denied us, to claim our place among the stars. The image changed one more time. Earth began to move. Continents split apart, revealing massive thruster arrays beneath. Oceans drained into hidden reservoirs as the planet's true form was revealed. Earth itself, humanity's birth world, transformed into the largest warship in known space. Earth is our final guardian. Minwoo's voice joined the transmission. 3 billion volunteers have merged their consciousness with our world. They think with the speed of light. They feel with the heart of humanity. They are Earth now. In the council chamber, pandemonium. Earth wasn't just defended by moonships. Earth itself was a weapon. A living world that could think and fight and travel the stars. You have a choice, Jae-sung said as Earth completed its transformation. Accept us as equals, true equals, with all the rights and respect that entails. Share your knowledge as we'll share ours. Build a better galaxy together, or, he paused, continue to see us as primitives. Test our defenses. Find out what 13 armed worlds crewed by billions can do when threatened. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, the ethereal collective spoke first. I propose we grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Council, immediately, with all privileges and rights. Agreed. The mechanical consensus added instantly. Their technological advancement alone makes them valuable allies, but not everyone agreed. The hegemony, the Saurians and a dozen other warrior species saw humanity as a threat to the established order. They began planning in secret, pooling resources for a fleet that would dwarf anything seen before. On Earth, Minwoo watched it all through spy networks. They're going to test us again, he told his staff. Some will offer friendship. Others will offer war. Then we'll be ready for both, Ji-eun replied. The consciousness networks are evolving. The volunteers report new abilities every day. We're becoming something unprecedented. Minwoo nodded. In 100 years, humanity had gone from primitives to titans. What would the next 100 bring? The galaxy was about to find out. 6 months had passed since the battle at Nexus Station. The galaxy had changed in ways both subtle and profound. Captain Kim Tae-ho stood on the observation deck of the new Human Alliance Training Center, watching alien engineers learn to weld. The sight would have been impossible to imagine a year ago. Below, a young Krillian was struggling with an arc welder. The four-armed being was used to energy fusion tools that did the work automatically. The human instructor, Petty Officer Kang Jun-ho, patiently guided the alien's hands. Feel the metal, Jun-ho was saying. Listen to the sound. A good weld sings. A bad weld screams. Lieutenant Park Ji-woo joined Tae-ho at the window. Strange times, Captain. Did you ever think we'd be teaching aliens how to use primitive tools? They're not primitive, Tae-ho corrected gently. They're fundamental. There's a difference. The training center was massive, built in the human style, functional, efficient, and ugly. But it was also the most popular facility in 3 sectors. Species that had mocked human technology now sent their best and brightest to learn it. In another section, Lieutenant Commander Shin Mi-ra was putting alien pilots through G-force training. The centrifuge spun and most of the trainees were struggling. One Zalani had already washed out, her delicate physiology not suited for the punishment. The ones who make it through become different, Ji-woo observed. Harder, more confident. They stop relying on their technology to save them. That's the point, Taiho said. We're not just teaching them to build ugly ships. We're teaching them to think like survivors. A communication panel chimed. Ambassador Choi Sung-ho appeared on the screen, calling from the Galactic Council chambers. Behind him, Taiho could see the council was in session. Captain, they're about to vote on the Mutual Defense Treaty. Thought you'd want to watch. The main screen switched to the council feed. Fleet Admiral Vexthor was speaking. The Krillian had changed since the battle. His elaborate uniform was simpler now, more functional. He'd even added armor plating to his flagship, ugly but effective, and therefore, I motioned that humanity be offered full membership in the Galactic Defense Alliance, with all privileges and responsibilities that entails. The vote was unanimous. Even species that had never met humans voted yes. The story of Nexus Station had spread, becoming legend. The ugly ships that couldn't die, the primitive weapons that killed advanced fleets, the mercy shown to defeated enemies. Congratulations, Captain, Sung-ho said. Your ugly ship started all this. It wasn't just my ship, Taiho replied. It was the idea behind it. Function over form. Survival over style. That's what they're really voting for. In the engineering section, Specialist Hwang Min-jun was teaching a mixed class about human design philosophy. His students included some of the galaxy's most renowned shipbuilders, all taking notes like eager children. The first rule, Min-jun was saying, is that everything breaks. Design with that in mind. If a system can't be fixed with basic tools and zero gravity while under fire, redesign it. A Thelian engineer raised a delicate hand, but surely some elegance is permissible. Not everything must be utilitarian. Min-jun smiled. You can paint your ship any color you want. You can add decorative elements that don't compromise function. But the moment beauty interferes with survival, you choose survival. Always. In the medical section, Dr. Munya Jin was demonstrating field surgery to alien doctors. No healing fields, no regeneration rays, just knowledge, steady hands, and sharp instruments. Many of the observers looked sick. Some looked fascinated. This is barbaric, one said. This is reliable, Ye-jin countered. When your power fails, when your healing fields collapse, when you're on a dead ship with dying crew, what will you do? Wait for rescue? Or save lives with whatever you have? She continued the demonstration, showing techniques that had been perfected in Earth's brutal wars. Some students left. Others leaned closer, understanding that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. On the dock, the 4 human supercarriers floated together. They looked like scrap compared to the elegant alien vessels around them, but now, some of those alien ships sported human modifications. Extra armor bolted on, kinetic weapon pods attached to smooth hulls, beauty giving way to practicality. Captain Im Soo-young of Beijing's Hammer met with Taiho in the Joint Command Center. She was overseeing the integration of human and alien technologies. The Krillians want to build a hybrid ship, she reported. Human armor and redundancy, but keeping some of their energy systems. Could work. Let them try, Taiho agreed. Innovation comes from mixing ideas. Just make sure they understand, test everything, assume nothing, prepare for failure. A younger officer, Lieutenant John Tae-young, interrupted. Captains, priority message from Earth Command. Admiral O wants to speak with you. The Admiral appeared on screen and he wasn't alone. Behind him stood representatives from humanity's government and military. Captains, O began. The success at Nexus has accelerated our plans. The galaxy wants to learn from us. The Council has approved a massive expansion of the training program. We're going to need more instructors, more ships, more of everything. We're ready, Admiral, Taiho said. I know you are. But here's the real news. 12 species have requested human shipyards in their systems. They want to build their own ugly ships. Soo-young whistled. That's significant. Our design philosophy spreading across the galaxy? More than that, the Admiral said. 3 pirate fleets have already surrendered rather than face human-designed ships. The mere threat of kinetic weapons is changing the balance of power. We need to be careful, Taiho warned. If everyone builds like us, fights like us, then the galaxy becomes harder to conquer. Oh, finished. Exactly what we want. A galaxy of survivors, not victims. In the training center's simulation room, mixed crews were learning to operate human-style ships. The simulations were brutal. No shields, systems failing, hull breaches. The crews that survived learned. The ones that didn't tried again. Chief Han Dong-wook watched approvingly. They're getting it. Slowly, but they're getting it. Yesterday, a Zilani crew kept their ship running for 3 hours with half the systems destroyed. Would have been impossible 6 months ago. The change wasn't just in technology. Alien fashion was shifting. The elaborate, delicate uniforms were giving way to practical gear. Some species even adopted human-style gray uniforms, finding dignity in simplicity. Commander Lee Hae-jin was reviewing tactical reports when she noticed something interesting. Captain, pirate activity is down 60% in sectors with human presence. Down 40% galaxy-wide. They're learning, Tae-ho said. Pretty ships were easy targets. Ugly ships that shoot back? Not worth the risk. As the day continued, more changes became evident. The Galactic Trade Network announced new standards. All cargo ships must have kinetic weapon defenses. The Exploration Guild required redundant life support on all vessels. The Military Academy added ancient Earth warfare as a mandatory course. In his quarters that night, Tae-ho received a personal message. It was from his grandfather on Earth, the man who had first taught him that ugly things survive. Saw the news, grandson. They say human ships are reshaping the galaxy. Your great-grandmother would be proud. She always said beauty was nice, but breathing was better. Keep them alive out there. Keep them ugly. Tae-ho smiled. Through his window, he could see new ships under construction. They were ugly things, angular, rough, functional. But they were also beautiful in their own way. Beautiful because they would survive. Beautiful because the beings inside them would live. A chime at his door. Jiwoo entered with reports. Captain, the new hybrid designs are testing well. The Krillian human prototype survived everything we threw at it. Ugly as sin, tough as nails. Good. What about cultural resistance? Fading. The younger generation gets it immediately. They've grown up with stories of Nexus Station. To them, ugly means strong. Pretty means dead. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance. But among them, a new philosophy spread. Ships became tougher. Crews became harder. The galaxy became a bit less beautiful and a lot more survivable. Sir, Jiwoo said, the Thelians are requesting permission to tour Soul's Pride. They want to see the ship that started it all. Granted, Tae-ho said. And make sure they see everything. The exposed pipes. The manual backups. The ugly welds that saved lives. As Jiwoo left, Tae-ho returned to his reports. Training schedules, construction plans, defensive strategies. The work of reshaping a galaxy's thinking. It would take generations to complete, but the foundation was laid. The age of pretty ships was over. The age of survivors had begun, and somewhere in the vastness of space, pirates looked at their targets more carefully, knowing that the ugly ones might be the most dangerous of all. The galaxy had learned humanity's greatest lesson. In the void between stars, beauty means nothing. Survival means everything. And humans, with their ugly ships and ancient weapons, were very good at survival. The stars didn't care what ships looked like. They only cared which ones made it home. Captain Yoon Tae-yang stood on the bridge of Terra's Fist, the warship that used to be Europa. The transformation was complete. Where once an icy moon had orbited Jupiter, now a metal giant waited. The bridge itself was a marvel, a sphere of screens and controls at the exact center of the moonship, protected by miles of armor and shields. All systems green. Captain, reported Engineer Kang Mi-young from her station. The young woman's hands danced over holographic controls, checking and rechecking every system. The dark matter reactor is running at 2% power, just enough to maintain our disguise. Tae-yang nodded. To any observer, Terra's Fist still looked like Europa, still moved like Europa. The disguise was perfect. But underneath the holographic shell lay enough firepower to burn star systems. How does it feel? Mi-young asked quietly. Being captain of a moon? Heavy, Tae-yang admitted. 4 billion people lived inside Terra's Fist. Entire cities had been built in the vast caverns carved from Europa's interior. Children went to school in corridors that ran for thousands of miles. Families tended gardens in biodomes larger than old Earth countries. He wasn't just commanding a ship. He was commanding a world. An alert flashed on the main screen. Ambassador Shin Jae-sung's face appeared, transmitted from Earth. The older man looked tired but determined. Captain, we have a situation, Jae-sung said. The Hegemony Empire is moving toward our sector. Their expansion fleet will reach the border of our protected zone within 6 months. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. The Hegemony Empire was known across the galaxy for its cruelty. They consumed resources from every world they found, leaving dead husks behind. And they had no respect for the Galactic Council's protection laws. How many ships? Tae-Yang asked. 10,000, Jae-sung replied. Each one the size of old Earth cities. They're not coming to negotiate. Have you contacted the Council? Jae-sung's expression darkened. I have. They said, and I quote, "The primitive humans are not our concern. If they cannot defend themselves, perhaps the hegemony will find some use for them." Anger rippled through the bridge. After 100 years, nothing had changed. The galaxy still saw them as worthless primitives. Orders from Admiral Lee? Tae-Yang asked. Prepare for combat trials, Jae-sung said. But stay hidden. We're not ready to reveal ourselves yet. The transmission ended. Tae-Yang turned to his crew. You heard the ambassador. Ma-young, I want a full diagnostic on all weapon systems. If we need to fight, we fight to win. Mi-young's fingers flew over her controls. Captain, requesting permission to bring the reactor to 10% power for weapons testing. Granted. Take us to the outer system. I don't want any accidents near the other moons. Terra's fist began to move, slowly at first maintaining the illusion of a natural orbit. But once they were far from Jupiter, the moon ship revealed its true nature. Massive engines, each one larger than mountain ranges, fired in perfect synchronization. What had taken Europa millions of years to orbit now happened in hours. We're in position, the navigation officer announced. No ships within sensor range. Drop the disguise, Tae-Yang ordered. The holographic field shimmered and failed. Europa vanished. In its place hung Terra's fist, a sphere of dark metal bristling with weapons. Cities of guns, continents of armor, an entire world built for war. Target that asteroid cluster? Tae-Yang pointed to a group of space rocks each the size of small countries. Minimum power. Let's see what our reality cannon can do. Mi-young activated the weapon. Deep in Terra's fist, energies that shouldn't exist in normal space began to build. The dark matter reactor fed power to systems based on principles that Earth scientists had discovered by accident and perfected through desperation. Firing. Mi-young announced. A beam of non-light shot from Terra's fist. It wasn't a laser or plasma or anything the galaxy had seen before. It was a tear in the fabric of existence itself. The asteroid cluster didn't explode. It didn't melt. For a moment, it existed in every possible state. Whole and shattered, ancient and newly formed, real and imaginary. Then it simply wasn't. Not destroyed, but edited out of reality like a mistake in a cosmic equation. The bridge was silent. They had known the weapons were powerful. They hadn't known they were this powerful. Energy consumption? Tae-Yang asked quietly. 0.01% of reactor capacity, Mi-young reported, her voice shaking slightly. Captain, if my calculations are correct, at full power we could delete a star system from existence, Tae-Yang finished. Yes, I know. The weight of that knowledge settled on them all. They weren't just soldiers anymore. They were wielders of divine power. The ability to unmake creation itself. Re-establish disguise, Tae-Yang ordered. Return us to Jupiter orbit. As Terra's fist transformed back into innocent Europa, Tae-Yang opened a secure channel to the other moonships. Captain No Da-yoon appeared on screen, commanding Silent Phoenix, the converted Callisto. On another screen, Captain Ryu Sung-ho checked in from humanity's dream, built from Titan. You all saw the weapons test? Tae-Yang asked. Both captains nodded, their expressions matching his own mix of awe and responsibility. We need to be careful, Da-eun said. This power, it could corrupt us, make us into the monsters the galaxy thinks we are. Or it could save us, Sung-ho countered. The hegemony is coming. They won't show mercy. Then we need to be ready, Tae-Yang decided. All ships begin combat drills. Train your crews. In 6 months we may need to reveal ourselves to the universe. The other captains agreed and signed off. Tae-Yang remained on the bridge, staring at the tactical display. 10,000 hegemony ships were coming. Each one had conquered worlds, destroyed civilizations. Their admirals were legends of cruelty and strategic genius, but they had never fought moons before. Mi-young approached him. Captain, I've been thinking. The consciousness transfer program, have you considered it? Tae-Yang had. The program allowed humans to merge their minds with the moonship's AI systems, become one with the vessel, feel its sensors as eyes, its weapons as hands. The ultimate fusion of human will and cosmic power. Every captain has to consider it, he said, to become the ship itself. It's not a decision to make lightly. The volunteers who've done it say it's incredible, Mi Young said. They can think at the speed of light. Feel cosmic radiation like wind on their skin. They're still human, but more. And if we lose our humanity in the process? Mi Young looked out at the stars. Maybe that's what it takes to protect humanity. Someone has to stand guard. Someone has to become the shield. An urgent message interrupted their conversation. On the main screen, Admiral Lee Dong-wook appeared. His expression was grim. All ships, this is Priority 1. Our sensors have detected something impossible. The hegemony fleet isn't 6 months away. They're using some kind of new drive technology. They'll be here in 6 weeks. The bridge erupted in controlled chaos. Officers began calculating, planning, preparing. Furthermore, Dong-wook continued, we've intercepted their communications. They're not coming to conquer. They're coming to harvest. They plan to strip mine our entire system and process the human population for biological resources. The Admiral's words hung in the air like a death sentence. The hegemony didn't see them as primitives to be ignored. They saw them as resources to be consumed. All ships, Dong-wook commanded, begin final preparations. In 6 weeks we show the galaxy what humanity has become. We show them the price of threatening Earth. Tai Yang felt the weight of 4 billion lives on his shoulders. In 6 weeks, Europa would stop pretending to be a moon. In 6 weeks, Terra's fist would teach the galaxy a new word for power. All hands, he announced over the ship-wide communication system, his voice reaching every citizen of his world ship. This is your captain. The enemy comes. We have 6 weeks. We will be ready. Terra's fist will not fail. Humanity will not fall. We are no longer the primitives they remember. We are the giants they never saw coming. Throughout Terra's fist, 4 billion voices rose in agreement. The sleeping giant was waking up and it was angry. The hegemony fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a swarm of metal locusts. 10,000 ships, each one a predator that had never known defeat. Their admiral, a creature with 6 arms and eyes like burning coals, looked at the tactical display with satisfaction. The primitives, it said in its harsh language, still hiding on their single world, still playing with their toy rockets. This will be the easiest harvest in our empire's history. On Earth, Ambassador Shin Jae-sung stood in the United Earth Command Center. Around him, screens showed the approaching fleet. Military advisors whispered urgent updates. But Jae-sung remained calm. He had prepared for this moment for 20 years. Open a channel, he ordered. Let's give diplomacy one last chance. The main screen flickered to life. The hegemony admiral appeared, its alien features twisted in what might have been amusement. Humans, it said, the translator making its voice sound like grinding metal. I am Admiral Korvask of the Hegemony Empire. You have 6 hours to surrender. We will take your resources, your planet and those of your species useful for processing. Resist and we will take them anyway, but with unnecessary suffering. Jae-sung stepped forward. Admiral, I am Ambassador Shin Jae-sung of United Earth. I must warn you. Leave now. This is your only chance. Humanity is not what you believe. The Admiral's laugh sounded like breaking glass. Warnings? From primitives? You have no fleet. No defenses. The Galactic Council marked you as protected precisely because you were helpless, and now that protection means nothing to us. You're making a mistake, Jae-sung said quietly. We've changed in the last 100 years. We're not primitives anymore. Changed? The Admiral's 6 arms gestured dismissively. Our scouts show the same Earth, the same single world. The same pathetic attempts at space travel. You have built nothing of consequence. Behind Jae-sung, Admiral Lee Dong-wook entered the command center. The old soldier's eyes were hard as steel. He nodded once to Jae-sung. Everything was in position. Admiral Korvask, Jae-sung tried one more time. I'm authorized to share something with you. Look at your sensors. Look at Jupiter's moons, the alien admiral laughed again. Moons? You think we fear moons? But it gestured to its sensor operators anyway. For a moment, silence. Then confusion rippled through the hegemony bridge. Their sensors showed something impossible. The moons weren't where they should be. Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, they had moved. Formed a pattern, a defensive line, a sensor error, the admiral declared. Your primitive tricks won't, it stopped. On the screen, Europa began to change. The disguise field dropped like a curtain falling. Where a moon had been, Terra's fist revealed itself. 4 billion humans watched from inside their world ship as their home transformed from ice and rock into metal and purpose. Then Ganymede changed. Then Callisto. One by one, 12 moons across the solar system dropped their disguises. 12 world ships. 12 weapons the size of planets. What is this? The Admiral's voice had lost its arrogance. This is humanity. Jae-sung said simply. You had 100 years to treat us as equals. You chose to see us as prey instead. Captain Yoon? On the screen, Captain Yoon Tae-yang appeared standing on the bridge of Terra's Fist. Behind him, 4 billion souls ready for war. Admiral Korvask, Tae-yang said. I am Captain Yoon Tae-yang of the Earth Defense Ship Terra's Fist. You have threatened our world. You have promised to harvest our people. This is our response. Leave now or face the consequences. The Hegemony Admiral's 6 eyes narrowed. Impossible. These are tricks, illusions. Moons cannot be ships. Would you like a demonstration? Tae-yang asked. Before the Admiral could respond, Terra's Fist moved. A moon that had orbited Jupiter for millions of years suddenly accelerated like a fighter craft. The physics should have been impossible. The energy requirements beyond calculation. But humanity had learned to cheat physics itself. Pilot Bae Ho-jin, merged with Terra's Fist through the consciousness transfer program, felt the moon ship respond to his thoughts. He was the ship. The ship was him. 4 billion people rode within his body of metal and determination. Weapons locked on the lead hegemony dreadnought, Ho-jin reported, his voice echoing with inhuman harmonics. Warning shot only, Tae-yang ordered. Let's show them we're serious. Terra's Fist fired. A beam of twisted reality lanced out across space. It passed within meters of the hegemony flagship, and where it passed, space itself screamed. Stars visible through that area flickered between existing and not existing. The very fabric of the universe rippled like water. The beam continued past the fleet and struck an uninhabited planet at the system's edge. The planet didn't explode. For a moment, it became every planet that had ever existed in that orbit across infinite timelines. Then it collapsed into a singular point and vanished. Silence filled both bridges. The hegemony had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had never seen a weapon that could delete matter from existence itself. All ships, Admiral Korvas commanded, its voice shaking. All weapons target that abomination. Destroy it! 10,000 ships opened fire at once. Beams of plasma, antimatter missiles, gravity bombs. Every weapon the hegemony had perfected over millennia of conquest poured toward Terra's Fist. The moonship's shields flared to life. Powered by dark matter reactors and reinforced by technologies that bent the laws of physics, they caught the combined firepower of the hegemony fleet and held. Shield status? Tae-yang asked calmly. 96% and holding, Mi-young reported. They're throwing everything they have at us. Let them tire themselves out, Tae-yang decided. All ships maintain defensive positions. Let them see that their best isn't enough. Across the solar system, 12 moonships weathered the storm. Earth itself, humanity's ultimate secret, remained hidden behind its false face of clouds and oceans. Admiral Lee Dong-wook watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Dr. An Yejun, he called to the xenobiologist. What's your analysis of their psychology? Dr. An, who had studied every known alien species for decades, didn't hesitate. They're predators, Admiral. They respect only strength. Diplomacy won't work until we prove we're the apex predator now. Dong-wook nodded. Then let's prove it. All ships cease defensive posture. Return fire. Disable their engines only. I want them helpless but alive. 12 moons spoke with one voice. Reality warping beams lashed out with surgical precision. Where they touched hegemony ships, engines simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone as if they had never been built. In seconds, 1,000 hegemony ships drifted helpless. Then 2,000. Then 5,000. The greatest fleet in their empire's history, reduced to floating tombs. Cease fire, Dong-wook ordered. On the hegemony flagship, Admiral Korvask stared at the tactical display in horror. Half its fleet was crippled. They hadn't managed to scratch a single human ship. These weren't primitives. These were something else entirely. Admiral, Jae-sung's voice cut through the chaos. You have lost. Order your remaining ships to leave. Tell the galaxy what you've seen here. Tell them humanity is no longer asking for equality. We're demanding it. The Admiral's 6 arms trembled. What are you? Captain No Da-yoon of Silent Phoenix appeared on screen. We're what happens when you cage a species for a century and tell them they're worthless. We're the children of Earth and we've outgrown our cradle. You had your chance, Captain Ryu Sung-ho added from humanity's dream. You could have welcomed us, traded with us, learned from us. Instead, you tried to harvest us like animals. So now, Taeyang finished, you'll run. You'll tell the galaxy that Earth is protected by its own strength now. And if anyone else wants to test us, he gestured to the crippled fleet, they'll find us ready. The battle had lasted 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Half the hegemony fleet drifted helpless. The other half waited for their admiral's order, weapons powered down, knowing that any further aggression would mean annihilation. Admiral Korvazk had lived for 300 years, had conquered 50 worlds, had never known defeat. Now facing moons that thought and fought like living beings, it knew fear. All ships, it commanded, its voice hollow. Retreat. Leave the dead, we must warn the Galactic Council. The remaining hegemony ships turned and fled, jumping to hyperspace as fast as their drives could charge. They left behind 5,000 crippled vessels, their crews alive but helpless, dependent on human mercy. Jae-sung opened a channel to the crippled ships. Hegemony survivors, this is Earth. We will not let you die in the void. Prepare to be towed to the edge of our system. Your empire can collect you there. Tell them what happened. Tell them all. As humanity's moon ships began rescue operations, Dongwook turned to his staff. Stage 1 complete. The galaxy knows we're not primitives anymore. But this was just the first test. The real challenge comes next. He was right. Across the galaxy, in council chambers and imperial palaces, the news was spreading. The humans had moons that fought. The humans had weapons that rewrote reality. The humans were awake. Commander Park Ji-ho floated in the observation deck of the secret base hidden deep within Jupiter's Great Red Spot. Through the reinforced windows, he watched massive robotic arms carefully attach another section to what used to be Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon. The moon didn't look like a moon anymore. It looked like a sleeping giant made of metal and rock. Another successful attachment, Commander, said Dr. Kim Hana, floating up beside him. Her tablet showed green lights across all systems. At this rate, we'll finish 3 months ahead of schedule. Ji-ho nodded slowly. He had been working on this project for 30 years, and his father had worked on it for 30 years before him. The Titan project had consumed generations of Earth's best minds, all working in complete secrecy. Remember when they called us primitive? Ji-ho asked, his voice quiet. When the Galactic Council's ambassador came to Earth and laughed at our cities? Hana's jaw tightened. Every human remembered that day, even those who weren't born yet. It was taught in every school, shown in every history class. The day the galaxy told humanity they were nothing. 100 years ago, humanity had been so excited. They had just invented their first faster-than-light drive. They sent messages to the stars announcing themselves to the universe with joy and hope. The response had crushed those dreams. The Galactic Council, a group of hundreds of advanced alien species, had sent a single ambassador. The creature, tall and shimmering with scales that changed color, had looked at Earth's leaders like they were children. It spoke in perfect English, having learned the language in minutes. You are primitive, it had said simply. Your technology is 10,000 years behind the youngest member of our council. We grant you protected status. Stay in your solar system. Do not attempt to leave. When you have evolved sufficiently, perhaps in another 1,000 years, we will check on you again. Then it left. No trade, no shared knowledge. No welcome to the galactic community. Just dismissal and confinement. But humans had never been good at being told what they couldn't do. Within a week of the ambassador's departure, every nation on Earth had met in secret. Old enemies shook hands. Former allies made new promises. For the first time in human history, the entire planet united with a single purpose: never be helpless again. Admiral Lee is here, Lieutenant Choi Soo-jin announced, entering the observation deck. The young intelligence officer carried herself with the confidence of someone who knew every secret worth knowing. Admiral Lee Dong-wook followed her in, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. Even at 70 years old, the Admiral moved with purpose. He had dedicated his entire life to Earth's defense. Show me, Dong-wook said simply. Ji-ho gestured to the window. Outside, Ganymede slowly rotated. What had once been a cratered, icy moon now bristled with weapon arrays, shield generators, and engines powerful enough to move a world. Deep inside, where the moon's core used to be, sat humanity's greatest achievement: a dark matter reactor that could power 1,000 cities for 1,000,000 years. Beautiful, Dongwook whispered. How many people can it hold? 3 billion, Hana answered. We've built entire cities inside. Farms, factories, schools, hospitals. It's not just a weapon, Admiral. It's a home, a living world that can defend itself. Sujin stepped forward, her expression serious. My agents report no alien surveillance in our system. They still believe we're playing with basic fusion drives and dreaming of the stars. The cloaking fields around our construction sites remain undetected. Good. Dongwook nodded. And the other sites? Europa is 90% complete, Jiho reported. Callisto is at 85%. The teams working in Saturn's rings report that Titan's conversion is ahead of schedule. 12 moons, Dongwook said softly. 12 moons turned into the most powerful warships the galaxy has ever seen. And they have no idea. Outside the window, a transport ship arrived, tiny against Ganymede's bulk. It carried another 1,000 volunteer families. People who had agreed to make the converted moon their permanent home. They would live inside the weapon, raise their children there, and when the time came, they would fight with their entire world. The fools gave us 100 years, Hana said, her voice carrying a mix of anger and satisfaction. They thought we'd spend it trying to improve our primitive FTL drives. Maybe build some better rockets. They never imagined we'd think bigger. Jiho smiled grimly. Why build ships when you can turn moons into them? Why fight with fleets when you can fight with worlds? The consciousness transfer program, Dongwook asked, turning to Hana. How is it progressing? Better than expected, Hana replied. Volunteers are lining up by the millions. The idea of merging their minds with a moonship's AI, becoming part of something greater. It appeals to many. We'll have no shortage of pilots who aren't just flying the ships but are part of them. Sujin checked her secure tablet. Speaking of which, the Galactic Council just sent another message to Earth's public government. They're congratulating us on finally achieving stable fusion power. She smirked. If they only knew we mastered that 80 years ago. Let them think we're still crawling, Dongwook said. The longer they sleep, the stronger we become. Jiho watched another section being attached to Ganymede. Each piece had been built in secret factories hidden across the solar system. On Pluto, workers mined rare elements. In the asteroid belt, automated foundries ran day and night. On Mars, underground cities produced weapons that could crack planets. And on Earth itself, in bunkers miles below the surface, scientists worked on technologies that would have seemed like magic even 50 years ago. My grandfather was alive when the ambassador came, Jiho said quietly. He was just a child, but he told me he cried that day. Not from sadness, but from anger. He made my father promise to make them pay. My father made me promise the same. We're not doing this for revenge, Dongwook reminded them. We're doing this for survival, for respect, for our children's right to walk among the stars as equals, or as superiors, Hana added quietly. Nobody disagreed. The alarm chimed softly. Sujin checked her tablet and smiled. The team on Europa just sent a message. They've successfully tested the reality warping cannon. It worked even better than the simulations predicted. Define better, Dongwook asked. They fired at minimum power at a test asteroid, Sujin explained. The asteroid didn't just explode. For a moment it existed in multiple states at once, solid, liquid, gas, and plasma all simultaneously. Then it simply ceased, not destroyed, just erased from existence. The observation deck fell silent. They all understood what that meant. They weren't just building weapons. They were building the power to rewrite the rules of reality itself. 100 years, Jiho said finally. They gave us 100 years of peace to prepare. Their arrogance will be their downfall. Outside, Ganymede continued its slow transformation. Soon it would be complete. Soon all 12 moonships would be ready, and then humanity would remind the galaxy of an important lesson. Never underestimate the primitive species. They might just be pretending to sleep while they sharpen their claws. As Jiho watched the construction, he thought of all the humans who had worked and died for this moment. Scientists who spent their entire lives on equations they'd never see implemented. Workers who built in secret, never able to tell their friends what they really did. Soldiers who trained for battles that hadn't come yet. All of them united by a single truth. Humanity would never be helpless again. The galaxy slept peacefully. Secure in its superiority, it wouldn't sleep much longer.